Rotarians and guests today. First, we'll start with the time to reflect, meditate, or pray, or engage in any silent activity for just a moment. Think of those that are less fortunate than us. Okay, thank you. You may be seated. We will start today with the flag salute from David 17. We can't be seated. I'm sorry. We'll say our four-way test. Alice is going to lead us off in that.
Join me in the four-way test. First, is it
the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and make better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Now you may be seated. No more tests. All right, Stephen Crane is going to get his exercise today. We have lots of guests and visiting Rotarians, and we're very pleased to have you here today for our meeting. And so, do you want to start with Dan Marty?
Yeah, today's a special day for us. We're here because of the play. Everybody's here because of this play, Oklahoma, which a group, Choral Society in Falls Valley. We have our director here, Jack Bowman, and we have members of our board that is helping us sponsor this event in our town and also in Norman. And so I'll begin with, first of all, this is my wife, Kathy Barney, and then we have Ronnie and Peggy Patton, and they were super active in Rotary in Falls Valley for many, many years, and they're active on the board of our group down there on the choral group sponsors. And to my right, we have Larry Hazelwood and Farhat Hazelwood. Larry was a treasurer or secretary of this club at one time, and he's a member of Club 29. So, thank you for your
Thank you very much for that. Jennifer Sanders has the guests right here in front.
Good afternoon. I'm Jennifer Sanders, and this is my guest, Kim Coop, and she is the interim director at Assistance League. So please welcome
Next, we have Mark Green has a guest.
I have a guest, Lisa Streeter, Lisa Streeter, who does marketing for Grit Brick Architecture. Lisa, would you stand up? And I told her I can tell everybody she's carrying my child.
And Stephen Crane, they do have some guests of our club, I believe. So.
We do.
Yes.
Annette Price is on the NPS Board of Education, and she said, you know what, wherever Evelyn and Rob go, I'm going as well. And we may get her next week with Holly and Nick as well, but I'm glad to have Annette here to see what's going on. And then I'm going to let her tell her story. She emails me and says, I need to come to a Rotary meeting. And I said, I would love for you to come and share. So absolutely share who you are and your connection to Rotary.
So my name's Alma Patel, and I am from Falls Valley, but I received a scholarship from the Oklahoma City Community Foundation for Rotary. And part of my fulfillment to that scholarship is coming to some meetings. So I reached out to your secretary and I was like, hey, I need to come to a meeting and I'm going to OU right now. And this is really fun. So I decided to do it. I'm studying political science and accounting pretty well. Thank you.
Did we miss anyone as a guest? Oh yes, I'm so sorry. Jeff has a guest as well. I'm so sorry, Jeff.
son, Bogus Mukes, who is a local prosecutor, assistant district attorney.
All right, that's wonderful. So sorry we missed you. Thank you for being here as well. Quote of the day. Every morning you have two choices. Stay asleep with your dreams or wake up and chase them. Today we would, is our, one of our weeks, we have an induction, excuse me, but first we're gonna do one quick announcement for me, and Dan Schiff has an announcement as well. So to the club members that are in here, you got an email last week about being a 250 or higher sponsor for our Rotary Road Rally and Festival. And if you choose to do that, please email Steve Wood and myself sooner rather than later, because we're going to bring a bill and your tickets at next week's meeting. So for our Road Rally and Festival, that is on October 5th. Guests, y'all are welcome to come back to Norman on that day. There's no game, so traffic won't be bad, and you can participate. We have a long distance bike ride, cycling ride. We also have a 5K that we added this year, and we have a festival with live music, food trucks, learning buses, and some other exciting things. So we hope you'll put that on your calendars and try to attend on October 5th. Tickets, if you just want to attend the festival alone, are only $15. So we hope you'll join us. Dan Shim.
Yeah, thank you. So this is our last weekend without OU football coming up. We are going to continue to embrace our old traditions as we enter the SEC, but we also want to keep all these new fans here in Norman. So I'm going to alert you guys of a new tradition that's starting. It'll be the first one Friday the 30th, but typically they are always the Friday before our home games, the Crimson Friday concert series. They'll happen about 7 o'clock on campus corner. There'll be live music, pep rallies, other things, so please tell everybody about it. We want big crowds out there. We're going to really promote this to get all these visiting fans to an experiential trip down to campus corner.
What day?
It's the Friday before home games always, except the first game, which is on a Friday, so it'll happen Friday afternoon before the game.
So Friday afternoon.
Friday afternoon, August 30th is the first one. After that, the Friday before every home game.
I'm sorry, what time?
The first game will be like noon to 1 o'clock is when they'll start the live music. After that, 7-ish is when they'll start. You know how bands are. They'll get there when they get there, but 7 o'clock.
Wonderful. That's a great addition to our game days, so game weekends. I appreciate that. And now, with no further ado, if I can have Jared come up here. I would have invited Wes Hall with him, but Wes is not here, and I gave Jared the option to come up and wait for Wes to be back, and he said, no, I'm ready to be in the club. So, so we're going to give him a warm welcome. On behalf of the members of the Norman Rotary Club, I'm delighted to extend a warm welcome to our newest member, Jared Cook. Joining Rotary is not just about becoming a member of a club, it's about becoming a part of a global community dedicated to making a positive difference in the world. As a Rotary Club, we uphold the values of service, integrity, diversity, and leadership. We are united in our commitment to improving lives locally and globally through our various service projects and initiatives. Jared, we are excited to have you join us on this journey of service and fellowship. Your unique skills, experiences, and perspectives will enrich our club to continue our collective efforts to create a long-lasting change. As you embark on your Rotary journey, you will have the opportunity to connect with fellow members, as our member mix up today, participate in meaningful projects, and engage in activities that align with your passion and interests. We encourage you to take full advantage of all that Rotary has to offer and share your ideas and aspirations with us as well. Once again, Jared, welcome to the Norman Rotary Club. We are thrilled to have you as a part of our Rotary family, and we look forward to working together to make a positive impact in our community and beyond. Please welcome Jared. Okay. Oh, yeah. Say a few words about yourself. Yeah. Take it away with that.
Wes invited me just as a guest to come in and check this thing out. I was really impressed with the first couple of meetings, the fellowship that you guys have, the involvement that you have in the community, and that's what really motivated me to want to become a part of this. So I look forward to working with you all. Thank you.
That gives me happy tingles all over, just from the inside out. Just makes me so happy to have new members join what we're doing in our community. All right, I do want to remind everyone that we do record our meetings, so you can find them on YouTube later if you want to watch this later or share it with your friends. And Stephen Crandall is going to introduce our program for today. Thank you all for being here.
You know, Dan Barney took about half of it right there, but I will say this, Rob, Addo, if you need curly, Mark, are you up for, can you be curly if we need? Yeah, I'm looking at you. He's our resident singer, so if you need he's been enough, anyway. As Dan shared, the Garvin County Choral Society and the Norman Public Schools came together for an incredible, who has not seen Oklahoma in the last, I'm gonna say 2 years? Oh man, that's way too many hands. Wow. Okay. I'm sorry?
Where could we see it?
Civic Center.
In 2 years.
Well, you can see it at Pauls Valley High School. I'm gonna let Rob talk. Dr. Rob Bradshaw with Norman Public Schools is gonna come and share with us about this exciting production, and I'll leave it at that. Rob?
Thank you. It's good to see you all again. I was telling Stephen, you guys are probably tired of seeing me by this point. I think this is the third time in about a year that I've been in front of you guys. It is my pleasure to represent our public schools along with Dr. Ellen Kwanzaa, our Director of Fine Arts, and Annette Price from our school board, to talk to you a little bit about our partnership with Garvin County Choral Society at Sinfonietta. But before I do that, we have one of the cast members and one of our NPS teachers, Miss Catherine Tay, who is playing Ado Annie. And she's going to sing for you.
No, ma'am. Is that okay? It's so much a question of not knowing what to do. I've known what's right and wrong since I was 10. I hear a lot of stories, and I reckon they
Isn't she wonderful? And she is educating the next generation of young singers. She is an elementary school teacher here at home. We are so proud of her and her efforts. She unfortunately has to sneak out because her students are waiting for her. So thank you so much, Ms. Tay. I want to speak to you just a little bit about this partnership. I've known Jack Bowman for several years now with Garvin County Choral Society and Symphony. I've played in his orchestras before in Pauls Valley. And he approached me about the idea of us coming together on a joint project that would benefit both Pauls Valley students and musicians and performers, as well as our students here in Norman Public Schools. And as part of that, we have a lot of different things going on in this production. As you saw, Ms. Tay is one of our performers on stage. We also have students from Norman High and Norman North Dance participating as dancers in the production. And actually our stagecraft students. Stagecraft is the group of people that build the sets and produce a lot of the equipment that is needed for stage productions. We have classes in stagecraft at both high schools here in Norman. And our Norman North students are working with Jack Bowman and with our staff to put together some set pieces that will travel between Pauls Valley and Norman for the show. So we have a lot of different parts of this that tie in Norman Public School students. We're very excited about that. As Stephen said, Oklahoma, it used to be performed quite frequently here in the state, and we have not seen it as frequently in recent years. So it is a really great opportunity for us. We will have a production in Pauls Valley on September 7th and a production at our Nancy O'Brien Center on September 13th. We hope you will join us. And with that, I want to introduce the director of the orchestra and the director of Garvin County Choral Society and Sinfonietta, Dr. Jack Bowman.
You never know, when you go to turn the page and the pages stick together, what do? Well, you stop and you get them uncovered. Sorry about that, folks. I have a story about Rob. It's, I think, kind of interesting. Dan Barney is a member of your club here, and Dan has come home a couple times from your meeting and said, you should meet this guy named Rob Bradshaw. He's with Norman Schools. And I said, I'll do that. I'll reach out and see if I can meet him. I came to our next orchestra rehearsal, and there were a couple cellos players sitting there. One is Gene Statham, that you all know, having been the Norman High School orchestra conductor for many, many years. And one of her students was Rob Bradshaw, who now has other responsibilities, but he's still an incredible cellist. And so he's playing in our orchestra. So I went over to shake his hand, and I said, what's your name? And he said, Rob Bradshaw. And I'm going, Dan Barney has told me about you, and we need to talk. And the two of us got together, and it was straight uphill from there, because in Pauls Valley, we are a small, rural community, and we have the greatest people in the world, but the opportunities of performing something like Oklahoma are usually way beyond what we can do.
we're entering our 4th year, and this will be our season where we have a total of 20 different organizations with whom we are collaborating. We've had students and faculty from 7 universities in Oklahoma. I think when we finish this year, it'll be around a dozen high school, elementary, and junior high choirs from all over the state, including Norman, and then Moore has been down, and we have all of the Garvin County involved. So we make possible wonderful music in rural Oklahoma. And the Arts Council has said, wow, what a great idea, we're going to support you. So we have generous support from the State Arts Council, from the National Endowment for the Arts, and then corporations, foundations, other government entities. Our city of Pauls Valley steps up with money from our tourism board. So we're really lucky to do what we do in Pauls Valley. And I'm thrilled to come and tell you about it. You won't believe what we're doing this year. We're opening with what? Musical? Oklahoma. Yes. Don't forget to tell everybody you know to come to Oklahoma. Our second concert is in November. And we're producing the entire Nutcracker Ballet with a ballet company from Fort Worth, Texas. Absolutely incredible. And before I did that, before I crossed the Red River, I went to every ballet company in Oklahoma and asked if they would like to collaborate with us. I wanted local people to have a chance to perform in Nutcracker. And the first group that would say yes was the Texas group. And they also qualify for Texas Arts Council money. So with great pride, we're looking forward to some Texas money coming into Oklahoma. Yes. So Nutcracker, the entire ballet with sets, lights, costumes, all professional dancers, plus about 30 or more local dancers that are being built into the show. I think that's an incredible opportunity for our people. In February, it's a concert called The Roaring Twenties. And if you remember the Roaring Twenties, most of us probably don't remember it, but the great silent black and white movies come from that era. Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin, all these wonderful black and white movies. So those movies were performed with somebody sitting at a piano or an organ and accompanying the show. Well, the man that does that today is named Donald Sosen. And I called Donald and said, hey, I want you to come to Pauls Valley and do those black and white movies. And we'll do Roaring Twenties music. So he's coming with his wife, who's a singer. And then we're building into that concert about 5 or 6 major 1920s songs. Elementary kids are coming from all over the area to sing. And then intermediate and high school choirs, Norman North Jazz Choir, the Norman High School Choir, high school choirs, intermediate choirs, etc., joining with them. And then a friend of mine who owns a 1910 Sears buggy. Let me say that again, 1910 Sears buggy. It's called the motor buggy, there we go. They used to deliver those on the train. The train would come to town, 4 guys would go down and lift the buggy off the train. They put the tires on, they put oil and gas in it, and they'd go button off in their Sears motor buggy. So we have a guy who's a friend of mine who owns the Sears motor buggy, and he's bringing that to drive down our street, and we've invited other vintage car owners from the region to come and join in that. So that concert is going to knock on dead the 1920s showcase. And then we're ending the season in beginning of May with the Messiah Easter portion, which is obviously not the Christmas portion, but the Easter portion. And then the second half Dr. Jared Tate. And Jared Tate is well known all over the world for his music. And I talked to him on the phone to see if he'd come and do a program for us. And he said, well, you know, last night I did a world premiere with the New York Philharmonic. And next week I'm doing a world premiere with the Chicago. And he named all these great orchestras around the world. And he said, but you know what? I'd be delighted to come to Falls Valley and do a premiere with you. And so we found a piece that, to get a premiere from him takes a couple of years. So we wanted to get him on the program this year. So we're doing a piece that he's written before. It's called Light and Fire. And it involves Chickasaw dancers and Chickasaw singers. Absolutely stunning piece. So folks, that's our season. A lot of variety. Great musical, roaring 20s, ballet, Messiah, etc. How do we do this? We have generous support from local people, local businesses, the Arts Council, as I mentioned, but we look for people like you to step up and help us. This production of Oklahoma has a budget that's about $60,000 to make this happen. And so if you are in a position with a company that can help us, let us know. Robin and Ellen and I will be thrilled. Okay? So that kind of gives you an overview of what we're doing in Falls Valley. And hope you'll come to Oklahoma. We're a little over 2 weeks out right now. I've seen the run through. We've got our work cut out for 2 more weeks, but we can do it. It's going to be a great show. But what I found really interesting was something that Peggy Patton on our board said to me at the first rehearsal. She said, you know, Jack, I didn't sing at all today. And the reason I didn't sing was that this show is funny. I was laughing all the way through the show. And it's true, I didn't realize that. You know, I'm conducting a way and it's kind of funny, but the show has hilarious lines all the way through it. So come and be entertained with some good singing, some good dancing. Some of the leads are from Paul Valley, some of the leads are from here, and they're from all over the region. Our Lori is from Mustang. Watch tomorrow morning at CW 43 at 7:45. She's going to be on there. Okay? So, would you like to ask me any questions? I forgot to tell you that I'm a 32-year member of Rotary. I love Rotary. I did my time as a president, and I believe in Rotary, the eradication of polio plus program. Just great things done by Rotary. So thank you for your dedication to Rotary and for all that you do to help the people of the world. Rotary is a great resource. Ask me a question. Come on, folks. Yes?
I would just like to have a schedule of all your performances.
I can do that. In fact, they will be online probably tomorrow.
Thank you.
We're at GarvinCountySings.com. That's pretty easy, GarvinCountySings.com. Okay? Take a poster. Dan brought some posters. Somebody brought posters today. Yeah, another question?
Here we go. I do not have a question. I have a speech. I wanted to support going to see Oklahoma. We all have this feeling for that musical because it was set in Oklahoma territory. And it was sort of the story that we know what is not all the time recognized is on whatever day it was when the curtain went up for the first time. And there was a cowboy named Curly singing, "Oh, what a beautiful morning." American musical theater was changed forever. Everything before was different than everything after. That was a demarcation to having songs integrated into the story. Before that, a musical would have acting, would have a play, and then it'd stop and someone would sing a song, and then they'd go back and have a play. And Oklahoma If you couldn't hear the lyrics, it'd be harder to follow the story. So it's a real masterpiece in that regard, and we all should see it.
And I should add to what you're saying, that this was 1943 when that happened. And Rogers and Hammerstein were the two guys that really brought that together. And so all of their shows after that are kind of formatted based on Oklahoma. Yes?
Well, I'm going to follow John's lead and not ask a question. So, after this, Oklahoma became our state song, right? But before, it was Oklahoma a Toast, a song that waited to become the state song because it was written during Prohibition, and it had a toast, right? A toast as in we raise a glass. So the state legislature wouldn't approve it until after Prohibition. So it was Oklahoma, I give you a letter. Anyway, and then when this came along, this became the new state song. Now here's the thing though. The song Oklahoma Toast was written by a girl from Kingfisher, Oklahoma, my hometown. That's all I got.
I'd like to add to what you just said. There's another part of that story. I think it was George Nye was in the legislature then. And George was the one pushing this song, Oklahoma. And he knew that he didn't have the votes. It was going to come up for a vote, but he was going to lose. And he wanted this to be the state song. So for the day that it was going to come up to vote, he invited high school and college students from all over the state to fill the balcony of the legislature. And before it was ready to come up for a vote, he had them stand up and sing, Oklahoma, where the wind comes sweeping down the plain. And they finished, and they took a vote, and it was overwhelmingly accepted. So we owe a deep debt of gratitude to George Nye for making that happen. And he did it thanks to your students and wonderful people. I heard George tell that story, and this nice lady sitting beside me leaned over and said, yeah, George loves to tell that story. And I looked at her, and it was Donna Nye. Donna wanted to make sure that I knew that George was telling a great story there. So we've invited George to the performance, and he said that if his health permits, he'll try to come. He's a great man. Great man. Other question?
Well, I have a question or a comment while someone else thinks of one. What is the greatest travesty? I just mentioned it to you. What is the greatest travesty about the film Oklahoma? It was filmed in Arizona. So I'm quite pleased to see that we are actually doing it here in Oklahoma, and I think we need to, I know it's a great film and we should never reproduce them, but maybe we should do a new film filmed right here in Oklahoma since we have a film commission now.
Love it.
There's another piece to that story, if I might.
There's no doubt that you had another piece.
You mentioned earlier, I think maybe the president, as a club president or Rob, somebody said that it hasn't been performed a lot recently. It was performed a decade or two ago by somebody who wanted to change it. And they redid some of the songs. They redid some of the story, they changed storylines, and Rogers and Hammerstein Library said, we're not changing this. And so they didn't give people permission to perform it. And so Oklahoma was dry. That was the one place that they weren't performing it. We went to them and said, look, we want to do the 1943 version. We're not changing any words. And actually, there's nothing offensive in there about the Native American tribes. The word Indian, the word tribe, etc., does not appear in the show. It's not in the show. Rogers and Hammerstein were very, very sensitive to the Native Americans and their concerns. So we're proud to say we helped bring it back to Oklahoma.
Another question.
So clarify that, if you would. 1943 version, there's the movie version. How many different versions are there, and how does this differ from you know, obviously the movie, et cetera.
Yes, I've watched the movie. The 43 version is the original copyrighted version, the musical. Rogers and Hammerstein Library, which actually today is controlled by Concord Theatricals, there's the word. Concord Theatricals owns a whole bunch of those different copyright companies. When the movie was done, I don't know much about the story behind the movie, but somewhere in the last 20 years, people decided that they ought to upgrade it and change it and make different notes and different words. And Rogers and Hammerstein Library said, no. So we're not allowed to change a single word or change virtually anything without asking their permission. And we've actually done that. We've gone to the Rogers and Hammerstein Library and said, we'd like to leave out this one little scene change. We don't need it. And they said, okay. So we're trying to shorten it up a little bit so that it doesn't get too long.
There was a production about two or 3 years ago, Civic Center Music Hall, with Broadway musicals.
Oh, I'm sorry, there was a production with Broadway musicals at Civic Center Music Hall. There were quite a few alterations, and people were not happy. I've been a member even before Civic Center was remodeled. So 30, 40 years of this thing, people were getting up and leaving and saying they wanted their money back. Oh. But it wasn't significant. Now, the songs were the same, but the scenery and some of the interaction was very different and not very complimentary of Oklahoma, unfortunately. I have to agree.
We're doing everything we can to bring back 1943. Rob has a staff member there that's in charge of teaching this theater design courses. They're designing a set that should look kind of similar to what we're doing. And he's got a wonderful choreographer, so.
How are you doing with your dancers? Because once again, I think this particular production introduced a new way to use dancers in these effects.
Agnes DeMille did the original choreography.
The choreography in that is fantastic.
It is, and it's.
Do we have people who can do that?
We've got wonderful dancers, but they're not Agnes DeMille professional dancers, okay? So I hope you will enjoy what they do and realize that these are high school students and doing a good job. I kind of avoided answering you, I know that.
I can take that.
Thank you. Thanks again for giving us a chance to.
What a great program today. Thank you all for being here today. I'd like to thank again Dr. Bradshaw as well for being here and all of the guests. I hope I have everybody, Alma, Kathy, Peggy, Ronnie, Farhad. I said that right. Okay, Larry, Annette, Kim, Lisa, and Bo. Did I miss anyone? All right, please welcome Jared, our new member. Give him a warm welcome this week and in the weeks to come. And as my club knows, I say go out and be the coffee bean.